Right. I think that we might be in business. But let's see here. What's going on over here? All right. Morning, morning, morning. And I think we might be on, we're on Facebook also. Cool. So we are good to go. Welcome to the second video of our 21-day tarot takeover. I've got our Zoom chat going. I've got Facebook going. I've got people all over the place, which is awesome. I'm going to try and go back and forth and not miss any questions or comments or anything like that. So let me just begin by sort of recapping what's happening, what's going on, and all that good stuff for anybody who might have joined us a little bit late. So good morning, everybody on Facebook. I am Sarah, one of the founders, your head magic maker here at the Sisters Enchanted. In our mission at the Sisters Enchanted is to make magic mainstream. And so it's our goal to get magical goodness into the hands of as many people as possible and spread this awesome through the world. And that's part of what we're doing here with the 21-day tarot takeover. So in our first video, our first chat, we talked about oracle cards versus tarot cards, which is kind of a question that people ask me that question a lot. They ask in the group, what's the difference? And we just answered, I answered a lot of random questions that came up for you. So if you missed that chat, if you're here on Facebook, you can watch that video in a group. There is a thread in the announcement section right at the top of the group if you're on Facebook that has all of the homework threads and the video link in it. So you can just go to that one thread, hit the links, and it'll take you where you need to go. If you are watching on Zoom or anybody at all, there is a YouTube link replay that was emailed out to you. And then we have homework threads over on Instagram for those of you who aren't on Facebook but might be on Instagram. And if you haven't been receiving the emails, make sure and check your spam folder, because if you signed up, everybody we've checked so far is in fact signed up, and it shows us that the emails have been sent. So if you're not seeing it, it's probably in your spam folder or hidden away somewhere. You can just search the Sisters Enchanted to look for that. And I think that's all of the you know, the background things, the boring stuff that you might need to know. All right, so what we're doing today, we're going to talk a little bit about tarot journaling, but I'm also going to give you some exercises, things that you can do over the next few days. And then on Saturday, we're having our next live class, and we're going to dig into the meanings of the card, the guidebook, textbook, traditional meanings on Saturday. So anybody who is here, who's watching, who's known me for a while, who follows along in our classes knows that I truly believe in everybody's ability to read tarot intuitively, or read cards or do divination intuitively. Usually we stand in our own way, and we're like, our ego is just what's preventing us from having success in intuitive reading. And because though that I feel so strongly about growing our intuition, our intuitive muscle and those skills, the first two sections here, this whole week basically, is focused more on the intuitive stuff, which you might have seen. And the principal has a lot of these strategies too that I'm going to talk about today. So hello, Patty on Zoom. All right, and remember, you can ask questions or whatever as we go. So tarot journaling. Many of you might have a tarot journal, or maybe you don't. Maybe you journal, but you don't journal about tarot stuff, whatever is the case. So in a lot of this like spiritual, new age, witchy, metaphysical realm, you will hear over and over again about journaling. And it's one of those things that people, some people do it regularly. Sometimes we fall off the wagon. Sometimes we don't do it at all. Sometimes we don't know what to write or whatever. So when it comes to tarot journaling, your tarot journal can basically be like your own learning journey in a notebook in written form. You can make notes of readings. You can make notes of card meanings, different decks, connections, intuitive insights. You can answer questions. There's no right or wrong way to journal when it comes to tarot. How tarot journaling will help you, though, become a better reader. And if you are a reader, somebody who's been reading for a long time, maybe you haven't written anything down in a while, maybe you just want to get a new vest going for your practice or whatever. Oh, happy birthday, Nicole. Whatever it is, I suggest that you pick up a notebook and write some stuff down. So when we write things down by hand, we activate a different part of our brain than when we type things or think things. And when we're learning card meanings or we're trying to build our intuition, when we're writing, we're doing a couple of things there. We're writing it, we're seeing the words. If we read it back to ourselves, then we're saying it and we're hearing it at the same time. So the act of writing for learning your tarot cards or even getting to know your intuition better and trusting it is really, really important and really, really helpful. So like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can just use, I am a huge fan of like the 10 cent, oh, my kids scribble on this one, but like the 10 cent, or I guess these are 25 cents now. They've increased in price over the years. But the 25-cent notebooks that you get at back to school time, I always buy a ton of them. I use them for everything. I use them for business planning. I use them for like financial tracking, which is probably not the best method, but I use them for like my kids' stuff. I use them for journals. I use them for pretty much everything. They're really, they're not super exciting, but they're inexpensive. They're low pressure, and I just love them. So you can use any kind of notebook. You can use a binder and fill it with fillable paper. You can buy an inexpensive notebook. You could buy a fancy pants journal from whatever paper store you like, or online, or Amazon, or anything at all. There's no right or wrong way. So things you might want to do in your tarot journal. As you begin learning the card meanings, you can create pages for the different cards and write about the different meanings. We'll talk about this more on Saturday, but something that can be really helpful to do in a tarot journal is take two cards. Let me see if I can find an example here quickly. I probably can't. I'm never prepared with examples when I should be. But you can take two cards from different decks that are the same card, though, and write in your tarot journal about different ways that card is presented. Let me see if I can try and find the 10 of Swords over here in my Rider-Waite deck, which, of course, is probably going to take me, million minutes since I'm under pressure looking quickly for it. But what you can do there is look at the differences in how they're represented and what you might find across different types of cards, or how one triggers your intuition in different sorts of. So let's see here. Here's a good example. So we have here the 10 of Swords and then the 10 of Athenaeus, or however you pronounce it where you are. So we have these two different cards, right? And in these two different cards, I'm just gotta look at the chart, you can see them. In these cards, they're completely different. Like in this deck, we have more of a protection sort of circle happening, it looks like. And here at the 10 of Swords, we have that stabbing in the back thing going on. So they're totally different. And you could choose, if you have more than one deck, you could look at all of them and see how they're presented differently. And you can write about that in your tarot journal and see what it means for you, and see if you can make any connections between the two. And if you don't have more than one deck, you can just look up the images online of different decks and do that. You don't have to go out and purchase like 100 different tarot decks. But what this can do, though, is help you see it in a different way, and maybe help bring different meanings to you, or see if there's a sort of deck or a different kind of artistic rendering that fits with you and what you are kind of interested in learning about, or something that triggers your intuition a little bit differently or a little bit better than other cards. So that can be a really cool way to get to know your cards. Oh, thanks for the nail comment. One of our lovely Sisters Enchanted members, actually, they're like stickers, and mailed them to me. You just literally stick them on, and then that's it. It's like magic. They're like the easiest thing ever. I even put them on my kid. Yeah, somebody sent them. They're super cool. So Deidre's asking, what if the deck has different suits? So you would use the ones that line up. So any tarot deck is going to have a suit that represents the elements. So earth, air, fire, and water. So it might be like in this deck, there's the Athenaeus and versus swords. If you have chalices versus cups, or sometimes you'll see like discs versus pentacles, or whatever. So I would look at the ones that line up still, like which one is the earth suit, which one's the fire suit. Sometimes there'll be like seasons, like a fairy tarot deck. Sometimes it's autumn, winter, spring, or summer, but you can still line those up with earth, air, fire. So choose that way and then look at the differences, which can be really amazing too. And if you are using a deck that is, if you are using a deck that uses its own suit names, they can be really helpful in helping you learn to reconcile them with the traditional Rider-Waite meanings if you do buy a tarot book or something, going through it that way. So is that Monisha has issues interpreting the court cards with intuition. Yeah, so court cards, I think the easiest way to read court cards is by looking at their energies. So each suit, as we know, has an energy, and then each of the court card positions has an energy. So the pages are earth, knights are fire, I gotta think off the top of my head. Queens are water and kings are air. So if you have like and wands are fire. So if you had a Knight of Wands, that's a lot of fire energy, right? So if you pull a Knight of Wands card, intuitively, you could be like, either you are, so court cards tend to be people. So, or they can be like, they can also be situations, they can be anything. But anyway, either like the situation or the person is acting with a lot of fire, like it's probably acting too quickly, it needs to rein it in. Or like a Queen of Cups, like that's a lot of emotion energy there. Versus the page of wands. So that is a more balanced sort of creative energy. And so you can look at the situation versus the person and reconcile those two elements when you're working intuitively. I hope that makes sense. What I just said off the top of my head like that without writing it down. But yeah, so they're each associated with an element. And then when you look at those energies, that might help with your intuition. There. I have a chart. We have a court card class, and in that there's the chart. It always like helps me to see the chart when I'm saying it out loud. But yeah, so and that can help with intuition for sure. So anyway, that's one way you can use your tarot journal. So you don't just have to sit down and write a diary style, like dear diary, this is the 10 of cups or something. You can actually learn your cards and keep that information in your tarot journal. All right, so some other things you can do in your tarot journal, and I gave you homework for this for the next few days. So you can put these in different threads. You can do it more like journal style and talk about what it feels like for you to trust your intuition. So you might want to think about a time when you really did listen to your intuition versus a time when you didn't listen to it at all. And what happened and what did it feel like? So think of one of those times where you just knew in your gut that something was going to happen, or you shouldn't make the choice you were about to make, but then you did it anyway. How did you know that you weren't listening to yourself, and how did it turn out for you? Write that down. And then think about a time when you did listen to your intuition. So when you're like, no, this is terrible. I don't know why. I just think it's terrible. And I'm not going to do it. Or you're like, yes, this makes no sense. I'm going to quit my job and move across the country, but I just know it's the right thing to do. And write about what it felt like in that moment to know and to follow through, whatever that looks like for you. And that might help you recognize that feeling when you're doing your tarot readings. So if, for example, you pulled like the 10 of Wands card, and you pulled the 10 of Wands, and it means a specific traditional meaning. Maybe you get this gut feeling where you're just like, I'm getting this message and I'm seeing this thing, and this is what I feel like, even though it makes no sense. If you think about other times when you did listen to your intuition or you didn't listen to your intuition, what it felt like and what resulted from trusting it or not trusting it, that might help you to recognize that feeling when you're doing your card readings and deciding, oh, this is my intuition speaking, I need to listen to it. Or like, oh no, I think that's my ego getting in the way. It doesn't feel intuitive. So think about those times when you felt really intuitive, what it felt like to listen versus the time when you didn't listen, and write that down in your tarot journal and practice feeling that feeling when you're pulling your cards and recognizing it. So another cool thing that you can do and write in your tarot journal is writing about the energy of your card deck. So you might purchase a deck, or maybe you're looking at images online. I know not everybody has a card deck in their hands for this class. And you can just look through the look through the images or hold them and think about what those cards feel like for you. So I have here the Lumina Tarot, which is showed it the other day. It's a small sort of independently produced deck from a woman in Australia. And the Lumina Tarot, when I look through these images, I feel way different looking at these than I do when I look at my Witch Tarot or when I look at the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot. And think about like how those feel for you and why that's important, how that's helpful. Because when you are practicing reading and you're moving forward, you're reading more intuitively, you might be able to choose a card deck that's going to align with your energy for the day and the energy of the reading. So, if you're feeling if I'm feeling extra if I'm feeling a little more heavy that day, or I'm doing a reading and maybe I don't know, I just got an argument with somebody, or I have all this extra stuff lingering for myself, extra baggage, then I'm going to want to pick a deck personally that feels a little bit lighter to me, because it's balancing out the energy that I'm bringing into it versus, where is it? The Dreams of Gaia Tarot, which follows its own system. It's not like a traditional Rider-Waite system. But this deck, the imagery it's not dark by any means, but it's just kind of heavier. It feels different to me. The energy feels different. So if I'm already feeling a little bit heavy, I probably wouldn't use Dreams of Gaia Tarot in reading for somebody else or even for myself, because I want to bring some balance to my energy when I'm reading. So looking at the energy of your decks, writing about it, journaling about it, writing it down can be really helpful. And then two, you can use that information when you are choosing to do a reading. So if you're doing a reading on self-love or self-care, or you're reading for somebody else and they're asking questions around love or something, then you might want to use a card that makes you more in that frame of mind. So the Line Strider with where's my Line Strider? With the pretty watercolor images. Maybe that feels more like that for you. Or if you're doing ritual or some spiritual work, for me, a deck that makes me feel witchy, it's going to be really great for ritual work. So think about the energy of your cards, how it feels for you, and how you feel when you look at them, and write that down in your tarot journal, and then use that information. I'm just going to go back through the comments here. So Nikki says 10 of Wands is about when I pull single card. Also feel a few times over the past week, talk about getting hit in the face with a message. Yeah, think on that one if you keep getting it, for sure. Yeah, bring some balance there. And Michelle's needing something with fluffy energy today, feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, for sure. So think about yourself and where you can bring balance to your readings if you're feeling rather unbalanced yourself. It's kind of think about I don't know, maybe when you were in high school and your boyfriend broke up with you or something, and then you would watch some sappy love movie just to cry more. You're oh, I'm gonna do whatever, I'm gonna cry the most. It's like that. If you're already feeling like that and you want to tap into your higher self and get your ego out of the way, you don't want something that's going to evoke more of that energy in you, right? Because it's just going to layer that on. You want something that's going to balance that energy. You don't need a rom-com when you're already crying, right? You need to balance that. So yeah, let's see what's got. It looks like I got a comment here in Zoom. So Manisha, I keep pulling my sun, moon, and rising signs, devil, death, and strength. How do we interpret those? So I keep pulling my sun, moon, and rising sign. Oh, the cards associated with your sun, moon, and rising signs, Manisha. Is that what you're saying? Okay. So if you keep pulling them, I mean, I would just look at maybe if you keep pulling those cards and your sun, rising, your sun, moon, and rising shows the different parts. This is a whole tangent, not tarot related. We do have a series on this on our YouTube for anybody who's what you talking about? Your sun, your moon, and your rising. It's how you are seen by the world. So it's how you present yourself. It's how you are your kind of subconscious self, and all of that put together. So I would maybe look at where all of that isn't reconciling for you. Are you that seems very self-reflective to me. So is there somewhere where you need to communicate your truth more, where you need to balance what you want to be versus what you are being? That's kind of what I would, if I kept pulling the cards that really spoke to who I am, cards that related to me personally, I would be like, all right, so I'm asking to be asked to look at myself. I need to look at myself, obviously. So yeah, I would do just some self-reflective work around that. Like, where are you not maybe being true to who you are or something? So, and Jamie's got the magician card stalking her. Yeah, we all get those stalker cards from time to time. All right, so some more tarot journaling topics for you. Yeah, if you guys are like, what is this Sun Moon Rising thing? We do have some short videos over on YouTube about it too. They're not really short. I think they're each about an hour long. We do have 2 astrologers on our team. Anna and Nick are both certified astrologers, and so we talked about that on some other videos, which are on YouTube. Okay, I think they're on there too, but they're easier to find on YouTube. Facebook group has so many videos in it; it's like a rabbit hole. All right, so some other ways you can do tarot journaling. You can certainly pull a card, write down your intuitive insights for the card, and then also then go to the guidebook and write down the guidebook meaning and see like where your intuition and where the rational stuff, like where those can come together or where they're completely different. And what can be interesting about that is if you do this over time and then you go back and see like what your intuitive insight was for this card the last time you pulled it, you can see how it changes based on the circumstance, based on the question, based on who you're reading for, how you were feeling that day, all of that good stuff. Jennifer Jo, King's Air, Queens. King's Air, Queens are water, Jennifer Jo, and pages are earth and knights are fire. Those are them for you. Those are the associations. Okay, what else? Here's a fun way to learn your cards and use your tarot journal also. That's not super boring. Pulling cards and writing the story of the card. So you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can pull one card. So maybe you pull, this works best if you have a deck with actual imagery with things happening. I didn't talk about this on our day 1 video, but some decks are called pip decks. So a pip deck is a deck that just shows the suits as what they are. So a 7 of swords is just going to have 7 swords on it, right? Like there might be a flower entwined on there or something, but it's not going to have a person doing something. If you're totally brand new or you're really looking to practice intuitively and strengthen your intuition, I highly recommend choosing a deck that has people in the minor arcana, so people doing things. The Wild Unknown is a really popular deck, but it doesn't have people doing things in the cards. So some people read really well intuitively with the Wild Unknown, and people who do that straight off the bat, I feel like are typically people that are pretty intuitive, like they trust their gut to begin with, and are people that read energy really well. If you're really new and you're like, oh, I really don't feel super intuitive, I don't really know how to be intuitive, choose a deck that has people in it. You will thank yourself for it. So you could choose a deck with the people and something like the 7 of Wands. Write the story about what's happening with this card. Like, what is she doing? Why is she doing it? You could also choose a couple of cards, line them up together, and actually like write a story about it, like as if there's a person that's walking into the card and they're walking through the cards. And what are they doing? What's happening in there? How are they feeling? How are these people interacting together? And that can be a really good way to jumpstart your intuition, get to know the cards, and be and write that in your tarot tarot journal for sure. All right, let's see some comments here. So Rebel thinks of Knight's cards as action. Yeah, exactly. It's that fire. Fire is action, right? Jennifer Jo says, Rider freaking way. Easiest storytellers, in my opinion. Yes, I do like a Rider Waite deck or Rider Waite clone for storytelling for sure. And Desi says, I have one of those pip decks and it frustrates me because I do better with imagery. Yeah, pip decks, I'll work with pip decks when I'm feeling like I can connect to energy. If I don't feel super connected to energy, I don't really work with a pip deck. The only one I actually even really have is the Wild Unknown. I don't think I can really purchase any pip decks. So Nisha has the Illuminated Tarot, and it combines some major arcana with a minor on one card. Do we go with what we are drawn to or always major? I always say, and I never say always. I would, that doesn't make sense. I don't think that there's always and always. If you feel whichever one you're drawn to, if you pick up that card and you are like, oh, this is what I'm drawn to, I would go with that thing. If you're doing kind of a storytelling exercise or you're getting to know the cards, then maybe fall back on the major arcana position. I always say, never say always. Which is true. I do always say, never say always. Okay, so some more things we can do to intuitively learn our cards. You guys, I am tongue-tied today. Some more things we can do to intuitively learn our cards and use our tarot journal to track them. Blah. You can, again, choose a card and write from the point of view of the card. So here we have, so in this deck, the Fool is the green man. So we can write either like as the green man or maybe as one of these the people playing music or something, and write about like how do they feel, how what's happening, what's in their mind, what do they think is going to happen next on the journey. You could also write a letter to the card or write a letter as the card. So these are some really creative ways to get to know the traditional meanings, because you can incorporate that in there, but also to just do it intuitively and see what comes up for you. You might find if you're writing a letter as the card and you find yourself like expressing concern over the journey ahead, that is a piece of shadow work to tap into. Like, what about the journey ahead as the Fool or as the green man here is prompting you to feel nervous about that? Like, what does that tell you about your own journey and how you might interpret that card? Where the Fool's journey is, the Fool is like completely naive and doesn't harbor those kinds of feelings. So if you're inserting that in the letter, that's really helpful for you to know when you pull the cards that you might add that interpretation in there and how to find some balance in it. So writing a letter to the card or as the card or just a story as the card can be a really cool way to get to know how you might bring some external energies or like preconceived ideas into card readings too, which is always good to know and clear yourself out when you can. All right, let's see here. So Rachel says, I connect really well to the Wild Unknown. Didn't even know there was a thing as a pip deck. Yes, some people love, the Wild Unknown is, I think it's like what prompted tarot to become mainstream again. I always say, like, when I bought my first tarot deck was, I think, like, I just always try to think of how old I am, like 17-ish years ago. And definitely it was like the weird thing to do, And then when the Wild Unknown came, it was like just so popular and so beautiful. And it totally brought tarot where it is right now, which is really cool. But yeah, some people though, they buy it because it's so beautiful, and then they're like, oh, it doesn't make sense, I don't understand. And if you can read it right away, that's amazing. I think personally it's a really good deck for if you are an energy sort of reader or if you read energetically. So Rebel, are there any pimp and rider weight combo decks? They will, most of them will, their major arcana will follow the Fool's journey, and then they just won't have like people on the cards. What's the one that is really popular? There's I can't think of what it's called. There's one that's really popular right now, and it has the major arcana. They are people from pop culture. Like, I think Beyonce is one of the cards. And I can't think of what it's called. But that deck is really popular right now. And the major arcana it's all people from pop culture, but the minor arcana suits are all pip cards. So yeah, typically, anyway, in my experience, the major arcana will still have the story. So Nikki, my husband and I compare our interpretations with couples readings. That's pretty cool. It's a cool way to learn them. Let's see here. I'm freezing up a little bit. The Illest Tarot. Yes, get on the Illest Tarot. Illest Tarot, it's so popular. And I actually, I kind of want to buy it because I love it too, but I don't think I would read with it, which is why I haven't purchased it. Some people are tarot collectors. Like my sister is a tarot collector. I don't call myself, I'm not a collector for sure. I only like to buy things I'm actually going to use. And I love it. I love the pictures and I love to own it. But I don't think I would read with it. So I don't buy it. But I love looking at other people's pictures of it because I think it's amazing. So Sarah's first ever deck was the Rider Waite. Yeah, mine was this set. I don't even like, I can't find it. Actually, I don't know what happened to it. It have moved a lot in my life, so I don't know. It could have been anywhere. But it came with a palm reading book, tarot cards, and a little tarot book, like a kit. And I got it at Disney World when I was like I was 14 or 15. And anyway, I have the palm reading book, but I have no idea what happened to the deck. None whatsoever. I tried to find it online, like so I could read by it, but I don't even know how to find it. Anisha's not sure I want to be on card. Yeah, check out the Illest Arrow. Like the art is, the imagery is really cool. But it's just like it's a deck, like I said. So I don't think I don't know. I like pictures. Anywho, okay, so some more ways. So we talked about writing the letter from the point of view of the card or writing a letter to the card. Another way to use your deck is to or your tarot journal, I'm sorry, is to pull a card first thing in the morning. And oh yeah, Desi, the Tarot Nova. I think you posted it. And I was like, that was the first one I had. That's probably it. Okay, so you can pull a card first thing in the morning and write about it. Write about what it feels like for you in that moment. So let's look at that. So if I pulled this card, for example, first thing in the morning, so this is the Hermit, and I can write, what do I think the Hermit means for me today? What messages come through? What, how does it feel? What do I think I need to expect? How might I watch out for things during the day? What might I apply to my day? How might I be a little more of the Hermit today to help me and for the best? And then at the end of the day, go back to your tarot journal and look and see, how did the Hermit show up for you throughout the day? Was it as you expected? Was it not as you expected? Did you incorporate some Hermit energy into your life somehow that day to help you get through the day, to help you grow, to manage situations or whatever, and kind of reconcile your initial intuitive hits and see, like, how did I include that in my day? Did I listen to my intuition? Was I actually like letting my ego get in the way? Did I remember to listen to what I learned? Am I applying the message that I got? So the thing about tarot, a lot of people will just pull cards. They'll read the meanings, but then don't apply the message, right? We don't do anything with it to make it actually useful. So this can be really helpful in helping you to learn the card meanings, learn how your intuition might be impacted by your expectations. So for example, if you know that you have, like if you pulled the Hermit, you have a big group activity that day, that there's gonna be tons of people there. Maybe you're then predicting like, oh, okay, so I need to take some time for myself during this big group thing. Maybe you pull the Hermit and you have nothing planned for the day. So then you're like, oh, so I should just continue with my nothing because I'm being the Hermit. How did it play out? And was your intuition did you listen to your intuition? Did you use that information? How did that work for you? And how maybe could you have interpreted it differently, and then reconcile it at the end of the day. So that's another cool way to use your cards. Yeah, write your things down, Sarah. So April says, I'm totally struggling with actually applying the cards tell me. Yeah, that is I'm just going back. A lot of people don't have their first decks for various reasons. Yeah, I have no idea how to mine. Between the ages of 15 and 23, I moved probably 6 times. So it could be anywhere in the universe or in the garbage, most likely. Yeah, so a lot of us, when we do all of this kind of internal work, like we do shadow work, we pull cards, we meditate, I think the biggest thing is like overdoing our practice and not actually applying what we're learning. So if you're pulling cards every single day for yourself, not like pulling one card to just like, oh, what do I need to do right now? But if you're sitting down doing like 5 card spreads every single day, but you're not applying what you are gaining from it, you're really just putting like a band-aid on whatever the thing is that's in your way in life. You're not moving through it. So yeah, writing it down can help you for sure. Can help you see if you're applying it, and certainly reconcile your initial thoughts on a card versus how it plays out through the day or what you expected. So Misha says, I get a headache reading for myself now. I was talking, Anna and I recorded a podcast episode yesterday. We were talking about this, that both of us don't really, I don't really read for myself because I I have a really hard time separating my own ego when it comes to me. When it comes to other people, I just go with the first thing that comes to mind, whether it makes sense or not. And I trust myself and I deliver that message. But when it comes to me, I'm like, my ego just gets in the way of reading for myself. So I always text my sister and I'm like, hey, tell me what I need to do. um, so yeah. All right, let's see what is next here. All right, so our last one that we're going to talk about, our last strategy for our card reading is pulling cards with intention. So for this strategy, we are going to pull cards with intention. So what you might want to think about for this is where you are now versus where you want to be in the future with a situation around yourself. So if you are thinking about your finances, for example, maybe right now you're feeling like you just don't have your act together, like there's so much work to be done. So maybe you pull like the Five of Pentacles. But where you want to be maybe is like the Ten of Pentacles. Or maybe you're in a relationship and you're feeling really heartbroken. So you choose the Three of Swords. But where you want to be is like the Ten of Cups, all this family love and rainbows and sunshine and daisies. So what you can do is pull two cards with intention. So pull the card where you are now and then the card where you want to be. And what you can do is in your tarot journal, you can write down either you can write the story yourself, like why are you where you are? And how are you going to get to where you want to be? What's the differences in these cards? How do they feel differently? How do you see yourself feeling differently in order to get to point B? The other thing you can do is pull more cards with intention, fill in the blanks between those two spaces. So if you're at the Three of Swords and you want to be at the Ten of Cups, what pieces of your journey do you need to get through to get to that Ten of Cups? Like, I don't know, maybe you need to change your perspective on the situation. So you have the Hanged Man. Maybe you need to fully step into your queen version of yourself and be like the badass person that you are. So you pull the Queen of Swords or something, like whatever that is, you can just write it, or you can pull more cards and use those as visuals to tell the story about where you're going to go. And you can journal about that in your tarot journal. And then you can even use those cards as like a sort of vision board situation and follow your journey as you move through them and use it as a visual reminder of like, okay, this is the journey I'm on. These are the things I'm learning. This is how it's going for me. And then keep writing about that journey and your intuitive insights as related to those cards in your tarot journal. So that's a really cool way also to use your tarot journal and also do some personal development work along the way as well. All right, let's see here. So Michelle's saying that, I do speak fast. I'm sorry, I try not to, but I do. It's just, I drum on this. Michelle says, I think lots of people have that problem. Yeah, they do, where we just we pull more cards, or we buy more crystals, or we I don't know, burn more stuff, but we don't actually do anything to fix our problem. You've got to do something to move forward. Paula, the new podcast will be up on Thursday. I've been putting them up on Thursdays. Jennifer, that's me. I overthink when reading for myself. Yes, I do that. My ego just gets in the way. I can't ever decide is this like what I think, or is this what my higher self is telling me? Whenever it's about anybody else, I'm like, I'm fine. But if it's about me, I can't weed out my own ego. So Jennifer Joe goes to find the Ten of Pentacles. Yes. Rebel's in denial when she reads for herself. Yeah, for me, it's just I can't ever decipher. Is this like stop sign or go? I don't understand. Let's see here. So Alicia says, sometimes when I'm going to make a flower fairy, but I can't find my own direction, I'll pull a card to help me to figure it out. It really gets my imagination flowing. Yeah. Let's see here. I do. Yes. All right. Let's see here on Zoom. So Alicia says, I burn tons of stuff. Yes. I'm always burning things. People ask a lot in the group just about how people make time to do magical things during their day. And I'm not one of those people that you're going to find that's got like meditation time. I spend an hour pulling tarot cards and like lighting I just don't, it just isn't happening right now in my life. So I'm really big on lighting a candle really quick, like one of these little chime candles, light the candle, and I'm like, just burn it with intention, bring calm to our house, bring peace to my soul. I'm like one of those on the fly candle burners. I'm always burning them. So Lexia says, when I read for myself, I have to separate myself and read as if I'm reading for someone else, and it seems to help. Yeah, for sure. That is a great strategy to try. And Desi said, my reading last night was all intuitive, and it was the things I didn't want to admit to myself. Yes, that shadow stuff stares you right in the face, And Stephanie says that I intuitively read, but now I'm paying more attention to the details of the cards. And it has not been wrong yet with the first gut reactions. Yes, go with those gut reactions for sure. Let's see here. All right, so I think I got another question over on Zoom. Misha, is it okay to use oracle cards to clarify the tarot? Yeah, for sure. So I'll pull oracle cards frequently to as clarifier cards, and also to like get a last sort of piece of wisdom. So kind of the period at the end of the sentence. Here's my story. Here's what I learned. This is my message going forward. Like, what is my overarching thing to know? Or if I'm pulling oracle cards that are maybe they're animal cards or fairy cards, or they in some way symbolize, or like a goddess deck or a god deck or an astrology deck, but they have like a card that definitively represents something. Sometimes I'll pull a last card to kind of be like, all right, what energy should I harness going forward? Like, what energy would be useful to me to apply this message now? And then I look at it in that way. Let's see, Jennifer Joe, feeling inspired to draw a card to see my shadow right now. My mood has plummeted since I walked into the office. I'm sorry to hear that. Jennifer Joe, a blue vervain, maybe. We've been having this discussion in our Enchanted Journey group about things to make us not want to explode at people. And I've been using blue vervain tincture for it, which is disgusting. And if you take too much, it'll make you puke. So if you go out and buy some, don't blame me if it's really gross. But we have all been experiencing this lately. And so we're like, someone get these people out of my way. All right. So do you guys have any last questions on a tarot journal or how to use it in your practice? So over the next few days in the group and on Instagram, I'll post the homework threads and I'll break some of these down for you. They're also in the printable, so you can print them out and have more details. But go in over the next few days, you're just expected to expect it. I'm not expecting anything of you, but if you're following along with the homework, it's just to practice some of these intuitive things in your tarot journal. And so on Saturday, we're going to talk about the major and minor arcana in more detail. But like I said in the beginning, I really love to give people the tools to practice intuitive reading. You can Google the meanings of the cards all day long. But if you're not doing the things to help you practice reading intuitively, you're never going to get there. So that's why I focus so much on that right out of the gate rather than the traditional meanings of the cards, because you can buy a book, you can Google them, they're there for you. But we really want to practice that intuitive stuff, which is harder to do for sure. Let's see here. Jennifer Joe, I swear to God, I'm going to buy a gallon of blue vervain. Yes, I'm telling you, it's disgusting. It's not one of those things where like the bottle says take 30 drops and you can just be like, oh, I could just double it up. Don't do that. Don't do it. You will regret it. Don't do it. Paula says it helps you get into the mood by lighting a smudge stick to cleanse your cards, yourself, and your mind. Yes, Paula was just outside reading some runes. Shannon, is it best to read for yourself, others, or it doesn't matter? It doesn't matter. It's whatever you're comfortable with. Some people don't read for themselves. Some people don't read for others. It's totally what you feel good about. Yes, blue vervain. Beware, though. Definitely beware. Tia, when I was younger, it all came to me more easily. Now that I'm older and life has happened, it seems it's been years since I picked up a deck. And it seems so difficult to tap into the intuition I once had. I think a journal is wonderful. Yeah, so as we get older and we experience life, you know, and we're out there in the muggle world, we become so focused on all of the external stuff. It's hard to hear our internal selves talking to us. And to turn that off. So remember that your intuition is your ego and your higher self, your subconscious, where those come together and they form your intuition. And so the more that we're focused externally, that is gonna, like, that's what's gonna, it's this scale, it's the balance scales, right? If you're focused externally, that is going to make it hard for you to hear your internal self, which is going to make it hard for that intuition to come through. And it happens to, you know, all of us, because we're so out here in our physical world around us. Yeah, in our ego. It's like, it's the logical stuff that we see. And when we're reading cards too, we can carry that with us. Where we're like, well, the, you know, the logical meaning of the 10 of Swords is X, Y, and Z. So why would I think it's this? It doesn't make any sense. But we need to practice hearing that again and trusting ourselves. So let's see here. Thanks, Monisha, for saying that. And let me get back over here. So, all right, that is it on tarot journaling. I have a long day of pediatrician appointments ahead of me for the kiddos and their physicals, which is never fun with little kids. So I'm going to head off and get prepared for that. And I'm going to download the replay of this and get it up on YouTube and email out the link later today for those of you on Zoom. And in the meantime, the homework thread will be up soon in Facebook and on Instagram. I think I have it going on Instagram. And that's it. So if you guys have questions, you can always ask. Remember to participate in the homework threads, because at the end of the month, we'll pick a few winners to just get some cool stuff. We have a bunch of different stickers and things. I don't know where, we have some really big, cool ones. We have like a Book of Shadows one, and we have a bumper sticker for your car. But I just happen to have these ones. So we'll send some stuff out at the end of the month for some random people. Nikki will pick some winners. So thank you guys for joining us today, and I will see you around in the group. And our next live call is Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. my time. So I'll see you then for the next one, and then, like I said, in the group in the meantime. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.